Okay, let's jump into it. So a bit of a weekend review. We're at 6 o'clock on 12th of the 5th, so we're on Sunday evening now. Just have a quick look over the charts and that, so a bit of a recap of sort of what we saw throughout the week and what we can probably expect, or hopefully at least expect for upcoming week. So I'll start off with gold because if you go back and do the daily videos and that, but obviously last week's review, we were down here with gold. And I told you I was looking for the top side move. I took out this part here, and then we really just sort of consolidated the whole way through here. But you can see how strongly every chance the market had to buy this at low 23s, it bought it up, and it was again and again and again and again. It got down to into this tight little patch just before sort of Friday's session. Was it Friday or Thursday night? Yeah, Thursday night session, and then we saw the breakout. That's right, it was Thursday because then it sort of carried all the way through that Friday session, and obviously sort of chilled out a little bit up over this top end. Sort of what we get up to almost 2380 or so up here. So quite a like large move. If we look at that from that breakout point, well, not even from the breakout point, but from the lows of that move up through there, that's a 3% gain. 71 buck move on gold. So that one worked out to be very, very profitable. I did sort of say throughout the week that when we were sort of back down over this area with gold, I was like, look, get up to this 19, sorry, I keep saying 19, get up to this 2350s level and that, and I'm going to start sort of shorting it. But if you see um, my Friday video, sort of in the morning there, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm not feeling too confident about sort of shorting this now, given on how DXY was moving, given on sort of like, the way that gold was actually approaching this high level. Like we weren't seeing this like little consolidation touch and then sort of potentially shoot back down. This thing was charging through. Coming up over here, you can see that like it did actually sort of Thursday, end of Thursday session, it did sort of stop here for a moment, and we were sort of thinking about if we move, oh, not this one, if we move this out of the way, you can see that the market thought about it for a moment, but it never got down underneath that. As I said, look, if it makes a little ledge, drops off the ledge, then I'll look to short it. Never did that. Never even, well, say never came close, but it kind of came close, but quite clearly through here. We didn't get any lower lows on these candles to charge all the way through here. So I saved myself a couple of bucks by not jumping on the short side there. And obviously, look, it's just sort of consolidating up around those highs there. A couple of things to sort of take away now. We had this sort of falling resistance where, it's sort of shot a little bit over the top here. We could say this is where we thought the stops were going to be sitting. As you can see, as it popped through there, it really flew up. That was sort of like a move 56 back up to 75, so 20 buck in that little 4 hour candle. And you can see that the market really, it didn't sell off a great deal up around here. It tried to sort of like push it down a couple of times, but certainly, holding this into the end of the week and also into the end of that session was quite strong. So let's have a look on the weekly chart. Yeah, you can see that this has got the potential to actually be really coming up here. 2391 looks like it'll be a fairly crucial area. That'll be sort of filling, that'll be filling the body candles there. So note on this one. So fill weekly body candles. The candle fill's always a fairly strong kind of area. And then, obviously, we've got to wait to sort of see how the week closes out. We've got some pretty big news this week with the CPI. That's going to be a big driver for sort of DXY. If that comes in low, like the expectation is a little bit of a sort of push up on it, which seems to be in line with most other sort of central banks at the moment. But if that does happen to come in low, we're going to see US dollar sell off, and that is really going to sort of push gold. And we could be seeing some sort of very strong moves here because if you look at this in a weekly, here we've got one leg pullback, two legs pullback. So two is the pullback. Third leg pullback, and we could be pushing here. I'm not a big Elliott wave person, but certainly you can see this moving through here. And I think the crucial thing will be to sort of see where does it close the week. If we sort of close the week, realistically, sub 24, just to give it a couple of bucks either way with it all. If we close the week sub 24, then there's a good chance we just do a bit more of this consolidation. So we fail to get a breakout. I think you could then be looking for some shorts around here just to sort of really play this range. I mean, this is a fairly decent range from bottom to top here, not including wicks, obviously. That's a 93 buck range. There's definitely some money that can be made in that. And, you know, a failed breakout is just as big a signal as an actual breakout, obviously just for the opposite direction. So even though I expect some sort of more upside here, as I said, I think 92's got a got a target on it. But certainly I'll be watching for where the week closes, and if the week doesn't close above this level, then I'm going to be looking to short it coming in the next week to the idea of this range playing through here and sort of playing the 90 buck range. So I'll have to see how that one plays out. I'll leave this just off to the side here. Actually, no, what we will do, we'll put this here. We'll put text on this. So let's put this one at the top. Fail to break and close. And that'll be shorts for the next week, so 13th, so that'll be week starting on the 20th. Shorts from week 20th. That's just a little bit of forward thinking. I mean, look, anything can happen with this stuff. As I said a second ago, if DXY comes in and gets an absolute bashing, which I do believe it is going to do, we could be seeing a breakout here. And we could be seeing this leg, equal to a couple of these other legs. So, I think the rule of thumb with Elliott waves, as I believe, maybe someone can correct me if I am wrong, which I don't think I am, is that your third wave, so first wave here in this particular move, obviously we've got moves down here, but in this particular move here, we've got wave one, wave two is the pullback. The third wave is generally the biggest one, which we can see here. This would be the biggest wave, so this is obviously bigger. So that's a third wave through here. And then fourth wave pulling back, and then fifth wave generally equal to the first wave. So this would be a potential move for a breakout here. If we sort of get a bit of a break and sort of a solid close, particularly, look, it doesn't have to be a weekly close. We could just run through the week, particularly with that CPI stuff happening. We could be sort of looking up here, but I think there's a good chance that we could be looking at 2,500 here on a break, certainly on a break of the wick highs. But if we close the week even sort of above 24, then I would say look, buys above this area. If we close it, as I said, under 24, I think that potentially there's the potential for a bit more of sort of consolidation over the sort of coming weeks. So let me just make this one as a price target. Oof, and there we go. So that's your price target if we get above and outside this one. And this would be also given from these wick highs, which we know are all-time highs. So put some more notes on these ones. Maybe I'm predicting the future there. Not 3,500 quite yet. 2,500. We break this level here, and I'll put an alert on it as well. I would say there's a good chance we're going for 2,500. It's 24.30 there, but that's a 70 buck move just up to that major move price target, and that could certainly be a plausible area for it to go. If you look at the size of these moves that have sort of been coming since it was down below 2,000 back in February. Doing another 70 bucks. I mean, there was through this period here where we're going up and down, we were doing 50 buck sessions. So it's definitely a plausible thing here. So this is actually sort of breaking all-time highs, targets 2,500. I think that's a plausible thing for a couple of moves there. So let's put this one, let's put it in the center, let's put it on the top. Bang, so it's nice and in our face. This little consolidation box through here. All right, that'll be for the weekly one there. Through here. Abilities and this and above. We don't need to see it on the lower levels. All right, so that's the larger picture of gold. A couple of things sort of leaning towards maybe a little bit more consolidation if CPI does come in a little bit hotter. So that sort of obviously bolsters the idea, obviously not for hikes, but at least holding the rates high for longer. This could sort of lead more to this sort of consolidation period through here. Um, and yeah, I guess that's the only thing I can think of at the moment. I mean, the geopolitical sort of stuff doesn't really seem to be in the driving seat for gold, in my opinion, at the moment. That kind of seems to have died down. Like, obviously, it's still going on, but as far as the market's concerned, it's not really sort of, oh my God, Netanyahu or whatever his name is. I know that's not that. Netanyahu has said something, or he's vowed to do something, or Hamas has done something. You don't see those headlines and the market moving at the moment, in my opinion. You may see the headlines, but they're certainly not moving the market anymore. So that's why I think you've got to sort of identify what is the current driver. And it's obviously not necessarily just one thing moving these markets at a time, but you got to identify what is it really reacting strong to. And US dollar weakness and strength, so DXY movements, seems to be a pretty good sort of mover for gold. So it's back into that sort of you know, in sync correlation that we sort of see for, probably about sort of 80–90% of the time. It's only very occasionally that you see US dollar and gold running. We did see this the other day, of course, and if you watched my video on Thursday, that was a great trade because we did see that happening. We saw, well, not gold so much running, but we saw gold not reacting as it should have. It wasn't selling down. Silver was actually moving to the top side, and at the same time, while those metals were acting like that, we saw DXY pushing up. One of them was lying, DXY, bang, sold off, and we just saw metals rip. So yeah, certainly something to look for there. But this is your bigger picture thing of gold. So certainly, I think there's some good case arguments for 2,500 in the next couple of weeks. Could be next week, could be this week. Depends how it sort of how it goes. But it's a couple of things on a sort of shorter time frame is certainly showing that it's breaking through. So we just pause that one sec. And back. So yeah, a couple of things. So in this sort of short term here, you got to respect the fact that it's just blown through these levels. Like 30 was really the breakout level. 50 was kind of like a target. As I said, look, there was a potential for a short around this area, but I wasn't game to take it, and that obviously, excuse me, sort of afterwards proved to be obviously the correct idea or the correct move. So we've really sort of it's taken over this sort of this level here, this 50s, and it's just consolidating the highs over here. So unless we see some sort of like really sort of back below sort of 23.20, which I mean anything's possible with this, but if we sort of say just through this move here, that or it's a pretty deep pullback to get you back over here. I mean, not anything's possible, of course, particularly if, as I said, if we see US dollar strengthening up, might see some metals sort of stuff sort of pull down here. But I think it's kind of like the wheels are in motion, and I think that any sort of pullback here is going to sort of be bought up. So I would say if I get a chance sort of earlier in the week and I do see some sort of early sell-off, I will probably be looking to sort of add to some sort of long positions, getting back around this sort of, around this maybe this 50, sort of 50% retracement of this last breakout move, which gives us down around the sort of the 40s. I reckon this could be an area where we were saying, you might have potentially seen a ledge. I would say this kind of area, let's just make it a bit of a zone. This would be, an area where we could probably see a bit of a bounce and a bit of just a quick shakedown, break some technical sort of levels, and then sort of like make people think, oh, look, it's failed this breakout part here. Come down here, hit the stops, grab it, and then shoot back up. Gold loves doing that. It loves sort of faking before it actually makes its move. I'm surprised this one didn't sort of drop down to the 90s before rocketing up. That's a very sort of typical gold kind of a cold price action move. But yeah, so certainly I think, look, if we sort of go past 78, that's taking out last week's high. Obviously, the high of this sort of last couple of weeks, it's been, back, it's only April since May. It's only a couple of weeks since we're back up over this level here. But yeah, if we sort of if we take out that sort of 2380, as I said, first target's the weekly fill of the bodies there. So this is this one up around here at 92. And then obviously we start to hone in and sort of look at sort of where the daily closes will be in relation to these previous ones over here. Because again, when you're looking for these, you just want to see, you want to see the candles do what the other candles haven't been able to do. And if you look at this on a daily now, and this is the important thing, is why you need to go through these things on multiple time frames to really get a picture of it. Because we're seeing, the RSI here, the Stoch is like really pushing up. It's got room to move to carry through this area. This last little candle here, this sort of close of the week, doesn't put you with a lot of confidence. Well, not sorry, it doesn't not give you a lot of confidence, but it's certainly not like this big sort of bullish kind of sort of solid candle. We saw a little bit of a sell down, but as we looked at, as we saw before, that was just really a consolidation period. It's coming into the end of the week, so we're bound to see a couple of these bits. But we see these sort of higher wick areas, they have sold down here. So certainly, I think getting up, and if we get a daily close up above sort of like mid 30s, sort of mid 2390s, that could be a reason to sort of target the wicks. And then, of course, as I just said a few moments ago, if we see those wicks go, then I think we could be looking up around that 25. So certainly there's a good reason to sort of see this at least come back up for 23.92, and then look for the daily closes above that. Look for the weekly closes above 24.30. Obviously, dailies if you get those ones there earlier. And then 25 would be the main sort of move up to the top side there. I reckon after this, I've got a price target of 104 in the sort of short to medium term of for DXY, and I think we might see a bit of a rally. This to me feels like it could play out at the same time. A push back up to 2500, could also see DXY sort of down at 104 before seeing some buying coming in on DXY, profit taking on gold at the same time. So flip across to DXY while we are talking of that. So we saw this big trend get broken. Was this the last Friday? Yeah, that was Friday last week. We saw a little bit of a rally early week. This was really just proving to be a bit of a backtest of the underside of this horizontal support and also the underside of this rising sort of support trend line that we've sort of been respecting the last couple of months. Is this? Yeah, since March. So it's still consolidating this period here. It did have a little bit of a push up on Friday's sort of late Friday session due to a bit of sort of US data coming out. I think it was like the inflation expectations was sort of up a little bit there. So that gave it a little bit of a rally into the close of the week. But we're still seeing, it's not out of this oversold area. It's pushed off a little bit, but we're not seeing any sharp snapbacks as of yet. So we cross back over this 20 line, you might sort of see a little bit more of a sort of a push back up to the top side here. But I think this is really just a little sort of a breathing area. And as I said, I think it was a bit of a push down to this price target here, 103, well, I'll call it 104 just for the round number. I think this, as I said a moment ago with gold, could sort of lead to gold at 2,500. So I'll be sort of looking for a break of that sort of wick from Friday. So put this one down over here. So below this little wick down over here, I think would be sort of fair to sort of say, okay, we're going to see the continuation down here. If we do happen to sort of see a bit more sort of US dollar buying and strengthening sort of coming up into this CPI, because, as I said, the expectation is for a higher number, which would support rates higher for longer, i.e. stronger US dollar. We could see this push back up and attempt to get back up above this support area here. But for now, it is, for me, just sort of thinking about it here, because this is really your break, your retest, and now we're just really trying to see what the bears are made of to see if they've got enough to drag it down here. This is the retest that we were saying, come back down over this side over here. And we're seeing that sort of, somewhat play out. But if it rallies from here, well, you got a higher low. And this is on the daily time frame, so higher time frames are better than, it's not like looking at on the 1 hour. So yeah, we'll have to sort of see how it plays out. I would say probably this would be the level there, the body fill. So top side 105.50 or a break below 105.14. I reckon they're going to be the areas. If you get a push up here and it doesn't close up above here, again, same like I was saying with gold, you end up going into a little bit of a range through the middle here, which is a very high possibility with the anticipated CPI coming out. Markets tend to just sort of really range and just move sideways while they're waiting. Flip across, we got Aussie. Aussie really sort of, it's firing back here. It's sort of come back through a couple of key sort of levels. It's problem with trading these things on multiple charts. This was this big area, the range that we've been playing for the bulk of the year. I've said a couple of times that, actually this might have to go back on the other one again here, but Aussie loves these sort of higher time frame sort of fake out moves to the downside here, where we had long short support, fired up, long support, fired up, long support, fired up. You would have liked to have seen this area here probably sort of go a little bit, close at least a little bit more bullish. But in saying that, it's not the end of the world. Let me just get those drawings back. It's not the end of the world because it really sort of, it's not failing and falling over as of yet. So if we sort of move this out here, zoom in a bit more, and we sort of get these ones here. So we look at 50, what's that? 58.8. Out here. If we break below this line here, then I would say there's a good chance that we've seen it come up here, fail, and then, bang, we're back down to the lower levels. I'll get down on the lower time frames. This is on a weekly, mind you. So we got about 40 points in that to sort of hold up around this area. We could see a little bit of a sell down early on the into the start of the week. Alternatively, look, this is pretty much just a sort of a spinning top kind of sort of pattern. So if we go this one here. Make this one a little bit more visible. So on this weekly here, we can see it a little bit easier now. That if we sort of see this lower wick taken out, we could see a little bit of a pull down. This is indecision, basically. I mean, we tried to go up, sold down. Tried to go down, or back up. The market's just thinking, okay, what am I going to do from here? Breakout above that 2660, I think there's where we're going to sort of see some stops get triggered. I think we're going to see a move back up probably to around sort of low 67s in the short term. Above that, we're looking 68. Look, this is again a little bit of sort of forward thinking with this. I don't think we're about to happen this week, but it's certainly something to sort of keep on the radar. So getting onto the sort of smaller time frames with the Aussie, if you look at the pullback here, this is what we were saying on Friday. Look, sellers were here on the left. We knew they were going to come in again. Pullback down was just to this previous area down here. So this is what I say each time, this is an area they like to sell it down. Well, this will be an area they like to try and hold it. And it pushed back up here. It actually went for a breakout, but again, sellers are there, buyers are here. So you can't say that we're really going either way with it all. And this shows perfectly, basically sums up, like this is a smaller part. It's not the whole weekly bit here, but this is indecision with the market. We've got the buyers trying to take everything they can to hold that sort of 66 level. We've got sellers very tight, 20 points higher, trying to hold that top side there. So I think sort of in the short term, given Monday morning, I think sort of like, we could just see a continuation of this. We could see a little bit of a breakout to the bottom sides and that. I think anything that comes down over these sort of like, sort of 80s level, 65, 80s level, I think that'll be bought up quite quickly. As we can see, this big break in that they sort of really took their advantage to sort of buy back up over here as well. So you're not looking at anything sort of super till you get out the top side of 66.50. Till that happens, I think that's going to need some news-driven stuff to sort of get it over the line. But I think sort of for me, anything that sort of drops down into these 80s levels, I think it's just going to be a little bit of a stop run, and I'll be looking to buy anything that comes down here to push back up into this range for sure. You would want to sort of see them try and, as I said, they've defended 66 a couple of times here. But not to sort of say that if they can't sort of hold it, then it's doomed. But certainly in the short term, I'd be sort of buying anything, probably still keeping it fairly light. But if we come down here, I'll be adding to, basically still looking with the longs. If we break out the top side here, again, be looking to add a few longs as well. But yeah, certainly this is going to be a big level for Aussie. If we get above this sort of 66.50, 66.60 level, particularly with some close up around here, I would say there's a good chance we're going to be seeing some trending for a while, because this area has like held for months and months and months. So you got to see the sort of significance of that, of when it does break. And if it does break and then sort of hold above there, I think we've got another couple of 100 points before we sort of see any significant kind of pullbacks. Copper. See how this one sort of closed out, because we did sort of push and look for that continuation. This is the triangle sort of consolidation we were watching sort of through the week. It obviously sort of came through here, and you can see as it's popped through, it is absolutely ripped. Popped in a little new high, but again, coming into the end of the week, bang, bit of a sell down. It's not too bad if you get a little bit of a sell down, as I said. End of the week, you're getting people closing positions. They don't want to hold stuff over the weekends. You're getting sort of like basically from a technical side, it's creating a nice little range wick that it can sort of trade with, sort of like some targets going through the next week. If you close up the top over here, well, you really only have that sort of one down and then flip kind of idea. If you sort of have a little bit of a wick to the top side, you've got somewhere that they can target for potential double tops, breakout points, lower highs. You've got a higher reference point to work off than just closing on the top and only above it is no man's land. So I would say the fact that we sort of got that little breakout, it did test it over here, obviously didn't manage to hold it, but I think that's the breakout. If we go above this one now, I think that's the one that's going to be seeing us move up to that sort of 4.87 price target that we got marked up over the top over here. And finally, just quickly on China. So it's been a bit too long, or too long. Spent a little bit of time on gold, so just flying through these ones a bit. The one has bounced back to life, and it is holding. And I didn't actually sort of watch this into the close of the week, but it actually sort of held this sort of little range. Now we know that sort of the one loves to find a range and then grind for ages. So I don't see this necessarily sort of breaking up to the top side here so much. I mean, we have got room to move with the RSI. This is on the 4 hour. But I think sort of the fact that we've got the underside of this sort of more higher time frame. So if we actually put this on the daily, you might see it a bit better. As you can see, this is the, whoop, this over here. This is your support areas, resistance, resistance. Kind of almost got to it here, but not quite, and then coming into it again here. Look, it's got the RSI to move it with that. If it does decide to sort of push through the top side here, I just think it's going to be a little bit tough for it to do, to be honest. We're pushing up. It rejected once from the 61% of this little drop down here, so it has been quite a sort of significant bounce back since it gave up this range here. But as we can see, this is the range it was in for a while. It broke. Here's your back test, downside here. So I think sort of certainly if we see this drop below these wick lows down here, I think this is going to be the area in which we're going to say, okay, this was the back test. Then we're going to be coming down and we're going to be targeting these areas down here. You can see this little red market area that we've sort of identified a couple of times, or previously. This was obviously an area for it to close above, and it was happy with that, and it sort of bounced back. So the idea with this one is that we are seeing this as you sell down, bang, finds support, bang, finds resistance. You take out this little candle, or this little line here underneath these wicks, that's the bounce. You're going to be coming back down to see if we're going to see this 1, 2, and this will be your third leg. Whether it sort of comes here, as we know that there's a bit of support in buying action here, or goes through. And then if we see it go through, well, that's the idea that we're sort of coming down to these main targets down over here. Unless you get some sort of news-driven thing, which could be the CPI, very much, that I think would be more of a realistic target. As I said, it loves to grind, loves to find its ranges, and then just sort of grind sideways for like a couple of weeks. But yeah, I'll be looking for a little bit of a sort of failed rally through here, and basically this to be the move here, the sort of bounce, and then target this area just over here, 719, to get down underneath there. It had quite a drop off if you look at that actually. I mean, this is China's not a big mover, but when it does move, that's all right. That's 1.5%. So look, I mean, it's not a massive move, but if you look at how much it moves, sort of generally, sort of sideways for a long time, and then sort of like sideways down, and then hammers up, sideways, hammers down. It finds its range, holds it with a bit of stability, for 0.5% or so, and then when it moves, it really runs. So yeah, I'll be looking for a break of this bottom side here. I'll put a little alert on. 7.19 thereabouts, that kind of thing. This red zone here basically was where we'd be sort of targeting first. And then we have to sort of look at how it closes on its daily at that stage. If we get a strong close down here, then there's the idea that you get the it'll flow with the momentum come through, or you could see it put in a higher low and then sort of shift back up here, and we could see this become its new range and sort of really sort of just sort of sit between these two levels through here. But I think sort of first things first, you need to get down underneath this red line to sort of say that this would be coming into play. If it does go back up above here, well, that means that this is kind of like a bit of a flush out, a failed breakdown, and then we're back up in the top over here, and you're probably going to see a good chance of a continuation back up to test this top part of this sort of more sort of tighter range that it was in previously, these body fills over here at say 727. So it's certainly looking like it wants to move at the moment, and it finished the week quite strong, all things considered. Where we go? So this one's the breakout box. Beautiful. Let's have a look at this just on a weekly quickly as well. Yes, because we see this sort of as you can see here. Now you've got your range, big break, back test, and then I'd expect this to sort of be push up just to push back down a little bit further. You're not seeing the RSI really scream at you that, okay, no, this is going to be a bit of a turnaround and sort of come back up to the other side. So we'll have to sort of see how that one plays out. Anyway, that's about it for me.